Welcome to In the Barracks, a place for prior and active duty service members, first responders, and their friends and family to hang out and talk about life. The Barracks is a place to share thoughts, ideas, accomplishments, and dreams with the goal of encouraging people to stay connected to the world and do the same for others.
Today in the Barracks, we're recording our first episode of this podcast with hosts Michael Pritchard, an Air Force veteran and nationally acclaimed motivational speaker, peer mentor, and comedian featured in numerous film, television, and stage performances spanning decades. Dr. Tim Wahle, a Napa California native with a private dental practice there for over 25 years, who has also served veterans and folks of all ages through nonprofit dentistry. And me, Steve Gatlin, Marine Corps veteran, photographer, and filmmaker with decades of work in nonprofit services. Thank you for joining us.
Like, one of the things I think that's really urgent for the American public to know is that Dr. Tim was already up working with our veterans up in Yountville, and he's been helping veterans on the street. And he and you came up with this idea. Tim, what was it that made you want to do that? I know you've been working with the vets, because I was remarkably impressed with the work you were doing with the guys that we worked with who had come back from multiple tours. But what got you with Steve to go do this? What got you excited to go do this?
Well, it was just a lot of brainstorming, and I was fortunate enough to spend a lot of time with Dr. Richard Garza out of Austin, Texas, and we worked with him for about 20 years, and his wife Diane, doing nonprofit work on kids that were going without dental care. And Richard's business model was that he was doing that work, which was critical, out of the back of the 3 semi trucks, running about 25 clinics a year throughout the country.
Good for you, my brother.
Yeah, it was just really fun, inspirational work, and we were able to help out a lot of individuals. And Richard was a quality human being, and so is Diane. She's still with us, and she comes along as an advisory person for us moving forward. And so Steve and I got together. Steve and I met almost 15 years ago, and I've known you, Mike, from afar now for the better part of my life. But anyhow, Steve and I brainstormed, and we thought, geez, this is a great concept, and what if we could help veterans kind of on the same business model? So with that model going forward, we decided to start this organization, V.E.T.S Mobile Dental Clinic. It was once called Christina's Smile, after Richard Garza's daughter, Christina. And we thought, well, why can't we do this and carry that on, that legacy?
And you're honoring her as well, still.
Still honoring Dr. Garza, Christina, and the business model that they successfully implemented for 28 years.
So emotionally, what was the most important thing you learned about doing free dentistry, helping people? What was it did? What fed your soul? What fed your soul during this period of time doing that?
Well, I think, selfishly, it was a feel-good thing for myself. It was, you felt like you were giving back. I've been so blessed to have my degree and successful people surrounding me, and it was an opportunity for me to give back, and that was important to me. I wanted to be able to use my gifts and talents to make the world a better place, quite honestly.
Now, you're a healer, but what's the most important thing you learned from it for you personally as a doctor?
Well, I think when we give back and help our fellow human beings, it's that's what it's all about. We're in this together, and
amen, brother. I'm with you.
We're here to help each other. I've spent plenty of time doing other things, but ultimately, I think that's what it boils down to, is just trying to help our fellow mates.
Yeah, on planet Earth. Good for you. And Steve, what was it that brought you to Tim? And I mean, this is an epic journey here, because you guys are going to go down. You picked up the truck, you got it up and going, and we're going to be doing this to help folks as soon as we kind of settled down from the virus. But what was it, Steve, for you that made you realize, because you've been working with vets for years and years and years and filming their suffering and sorrows and their journeys at times and their inspiration. What made you do that, Steve?
I mean, you know, when Tim approached me with the story about Dr. Garza and the work that he and Diane did, you know, obviously I was just kind of blown away. And it's one of those stories that I found, and that as I share, I'm finding people say like, oh, I think I've heard of that. Like, you know, oh, I've seen that on TV, or I've seen, you know, I've heard of this concept of like a mobile dental thing. And so, you know, Tim presented it to me as, first of all, the background of the story, and then how he had volunteered for all these years. And then as, you know, Dr. Garza had passed away, unfortunately, and then how Diane had these trailers that were still in storage, you know, and it had been a few years, and, you know, they could be sold, they could be donated, they could, you know, why keep them? And it kind of felt like she was waiting for someone else to pick up the ball or something, but we got to at least kind of find out. You know, it's worth exploring. And we had a couple of conversations on the phone with her that were very positive, and kind of got to know each other a little bit, you know, Tim sharing, them kind of reconnecting and sharing, and then me kind of interjecting my background with fundraising and networking and nonprofits. And Tim and I decided, just let's book a flight, you know, and go down there and take a look at these things.
Wow.
And make a call, you know, make it, you know, we got to at least look, we got to at least figure it out. And so we went down there, and I never forget, she had said, you know, that one of the, you know, the one that we went into first, which was parked at a lot, you know, at a roadway lot, you know, they were storing it for her. And, you know, she said, well, this one hasn't been opened up in a few years. We opened it up a couple of days ago and plugged everything in and fired it up. And I never forget, we walked in and it was like 68 degrees, air conditioned running. It still even had a faint smell of like an office to it. It was clean. It was just, you know, I remember her saying, I don't know, I didn't know when I opened this thing up if there was going to be like a family of raccoons living in here or what it was going to look like, but it looked really clean. But I remember asking, you know, Tim, like what his opinion was about how much work would it take to, you know, could you essentially go in and work today or whatever, or, you know, what would it be? And, you know, we had limited time, but, you know, we flipped some switches and did kind of an assessment that, you know, this thing's in pretty good shape. You know, I mean, it hadn't been used in several years, and some of the equipment needs to be updated with the times. I mean, there's always technology evolving in everything, and the dental world is no different. But you know, but at the same time, you could get in there and do this triage dentistry, guerrilla dentistry, they call it. And,
they call it guerrilla dentistry, triage. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. There's a really cool thing we have that's hanging on the wall in there that Dr. Garza wrote and kind of coined. I don't know how many years back, but it's like guerrilla dentistry, and it's a beautiful description of what that is as they related it to the work they do. So we're going to honor that. You know, that'll be up in ours trailer when it gets here, when we're working.
What are the prerequisites for come checking in? They have to have a DD 214, or what do they? How do they get taken care of when they come to you guys?
Well, there's going to be, you know, there'll be a screening process that will, you know, we're still identifying. We have had conversations with the veteran service officer here in Marin about, you know, who of course is in contact with a large majority of veterans in Marin County. Had preliminary contact with Sonoma, Napa, Mendocino County veteran offices that, you know, that they can identify people for us and reach out on our behalf.
Right.
Identify people that need services.
So they'll be pre-screened and pre-identified. Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah, there'll be a screening. You know, there'll be you know, when a clinic is going to occur, there'll be a point in time, a few weeks ahead of time before that, where there'll be kind of a screening process where they can be identified, the work that would need to be done, so they can be scheduled. And Tim, of course, can speak better to this part than me. But we can't just park it and say free dental care for veterans, because you've got 3 chairs, so you can have 3 dentists working with an assistant, and then there's an X-ray area up front. So there'll be a process, which I've made no bones about it with Tim. Like, that's you inside. I'll be doing the ringmaster thing and promoting and doing all my thing. But when it comes to the scheduling and the process and all that, but they used to run Tim, 35 to 45 kids a day through there on a good day.
Wow, 40 kids a day. That's awesome.
Logistically, in the back of the semi, Dr. Garza, he was a super talented individual, and he designed this clinic himself and did the plumbing and the air conditioning and the dental plumbing is pretty intricate. But anyhow, 3 chairs in the back of the semi, state of the art. And there's one area that you enter into in the back of the clinic where the vets will come in and they'll be screened and x-rays taken. And like I said, guerrilla triage dentistry, get people out of pain. But we'll have the capability to do, once we kind of get our feet underneath us, we'll have the capability to do a lot of different procedures in the back of this trailer. Extractions, potentially dentures, crowns, fillings, cleanings, you name it. We look forward to teaming up with. Go ahead.
If you tell it truthfully, you're saving lives, correct, Tim? You're saving lives and giving lives.
I think ultimately, if we can help veterans with their health, especially their dental health, obviously that'll trickle down to their mental health, and you hate to see these guys and gals going to sleep or not sleeping because they're up all night with a raging toothache and whatnot. And so I think we have the ability to help those individuals.
Just getting them reconnected to a group of caring individuals who are grateful for their service to their country is important, correct?
Absolutely. And I saw that when we did that work at the Pathway Home with those great veterans up there, and it was it was just fulfilling knowing that we can make an impact in people's lives, and maybe they can chew a better meal or go be without pain and get some rest.
Well, those guys loved you, Tim. They did. They loved you. You're a good man for doing that.
Well, again, I think we were just blessed. We did a bunch of work up there with Tom Bird and whatnot, and I don't know how many vets we treated over the course of about 10 years, Mike, that program was up and running?
Yeah, for years, yeah.
And anyhow, it was just super fulfilling, and it was a way that we could give back again.
Yeah. And then now you're going to extend it out, and we're going to be going to a wider thing, and it helps light the candles in other areas of America as well, correct? That's what you're hoping to inspire?
Well, we hope so. If we can inspire, this generation, especially after COVID-19, just to, do something positive. How are we going to come together to get through this and press forward?
I am so with you. Isn't it funny that we started this before that was even going on, but now it's in the consciousness of the entire country?
Yeah. And it's, well, we were in a position, and to me, that's, it's just a tremendous blessing that, the groundwork for this started long ago. And I think what this pandemic has done is it's just shown us that it's more important than ever.
Exactly. Steve, are you on board with that same sentiment?
I am. I'm on board, man. This whole thing is, we're going on right about a year, about a year ago is when we went down there to Austin and kind of got all this going. It was March of 2019.
What has it taught you? I mean, you're a 10-year you're a combat correspondent, a Marine Corps MP, and you worked in corrections. You had some tough assignments when you were in. What is this teaching you most as a dad, as a Marine, and as a member of the community who's always, both of you guys are always giving in the community. What has this taught you most?
It's showing me, I would say, this is showing me a greater sense of need than I even imagined.
Right.
I served 10 years in the Marine Corps and got out in 2002 and have had, various career paths since and built my way through the industries that I've worked in that have kind of led me to this point.
Yes.
And
everything led you to this. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even getting to know you, Mike, 10 years ago, or more than 10 years ago,
we've been 15, Steve.
15 years ago when we were working. But the work that we've always done over the last 15 years with nonprofits that have just kind of needed help, needed stuff, and me jumping in with you because you're like, hey, let's help this
Right.
group out. And it got to be over time where it wasn't even like a matter. We wouldn't even ask each other, well, how much does it pay to do this or whatever. It was just, sometimes there was pay, sometimes there wasn't.
Yeah.
It was never
I
really.
remember we filmed Listen with foster care kids. You filmed in Nigeria with the kids and the people of Nigeria, and that work was epic, unbelievable. You filmed combat veteran amputees doing amazing stuff, learning to surf and teaching surfing.
Yeah.
I mean, there is nothing more important than this human connection, community unity work.
Well, I feel like all of those years of just jumping in wherever needed has led to this. I mean, this is something. So, and to ask me, well, what have I learned? I don't know that I've actually learned that much yet, Mike, because we're a year later and, the trailer's almost here. I mean, I'll say, I've told a bunch of people, when Tim and I got back from Austin, last year ago, March, we were going, well, we can probably have our first clinic by July or August. What do you think? Yeah, that sounds good, And then we start going through the process of setting up a nonprofit and doing it properly. And then it's not just a nonprofit, it's a nonprofit that's a medical office on wheels. And so the legal and the setup and all those things are, despite all the experience that I thought I had in nonprofit work, the back end of it has been a huge learning process. But I feel like we're really ironclad in the people that we've brought in, the board.
Yeah.
Starting with the board, we have a mix of people from the military and former military, and business community partners that I've known and worked with. And then Tim, of course, reached out to his friends and colleagues in the dental world. And we formed this board of just really, really an eclectic group of high-end professionals.
Yeah.
And then
if you talk about guerrilla dentistry,
you missed that one.
What did you say?
I said, and then we also invited you.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I was that part where I could do the gorilla, Steve.
There you go.
That's where we got it from.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you talk about guerrilla dentistry, what we're doing is guerrilla service to community, and that's what works best. It's when we wake up, we get woke, we stay woke, we get other folks woker too. Who's the most wokest? Come in, let's get this done. And everybody pitching in to community unity is what saves lives on the street, of the lonely, of the isolated vet, of the veteran whose family needs for them to get some sort of services. And so many of them suffer incredible indignities just sometimes trying to go through systems that don't value or appreciate what they've done for their country or in their lives. And then they get blamed a lot for this or that. And there's a lot of anger that comes with being an isolated veteran up under a a highway underpass, and nobody's understanding that part of that pain is from not being connected to the system anymore because they caught a bunch of cases of what you would call vagrancy, or, you know, maybe taking food or shoplifting, just trying to survive. And then we realize when you find this guy, and this has happened to me, we find a guy and we check his records and he holds a silver star and a Purple Heart, and you cry because you're saying, then you have to go back to these folks and go, do you know who it is that we've condemned and isolated, marginalized and humiliated? Because here's who he is.
Well, you know, Mike, and again, this is just one more platform. You've been doing this work your entire lifetime, and you have a tremendous portfolio to show for it, you know, individuals that you've helped. But yeah, I mean, you know, this is just another platform to help those on the margin. And regardless of background and whatnot, but you know, yeah, these are people that have had obviously significant contributions in life, and not to say that the youth work that you've done is not without justification, but just different platforms, and we continue to do that work. So it's good stuff.
Well, I mean, that's what I think Dr. Garza, he was honoring his child. He knew what was important. He had a value structure that taught him that this is a connection. He and his wife have lived a legacy of contribution to community and to kids' well-being, and we're going to continue on with that. And that's how you honor people, an attitude of gratitude in this latitude. And when you do that, all of that stuff, everything that we're doing is connecting community to that, right? And the same.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think, you know, like I said, it seems as though things kind of came to a crescendo with this pandemic.
Right.
Homeless rates are through the roof, at least in California. You know, joblessness now is going to be through the roof. People are suffering, and I think it's again, the platform that we're providing is just an opportunity for these people, hopefully, to not suffer as much and get through this together.
Well, the thing that I always tell everybody is, and I tell youngsters this, unaddressed grief turns to anger.
Yeah.
Unaddressed suffering can turn to anger. I had a little kid say, don't let your sad turn to mad, because then it all gets bad. It's pretty much, it's ironically very funny, because think of where the petri dish of all the violence in our community is a lack of respect for folks who have suffered greatly while serving greatly too as well. And that goes for paramedics, firefighters, nurses, teachers, guys like Steve, who's still teaching special needs kids how to use film to tell stories and to get their voice heard. And that kind of stuff is what we need to connect to. But what we're doing is prevention work as well, not just in dentistry, but in community where there's suffering, where we can prevent anger, hostility, domestic violence, and sometimes that isolation that, you know, because violence doesn't have a zip code. Violence does not have a zip code. First thing I learned as a probation officer is, if you listen to the suffering and pain, you'll understand the world. And it's not overstand, it's understand, and then help them understand. And kids taught me that. And I think this is the perfect example of the best kind of work that we can possibly do. I'm honored to be with you guys. This is a great and noble effort. And our board has got some great folks involved, and high caliber, moral turpitude, good folks who get what America's really all about. What's your vision, both of you guys, what's your vision of the future? In the best of all possible worlds, how do you see this in the future? Say, take it forward 10 years, Dr. Tim.
You know, I think...
what's your dream?
Well, I would like to see us go nationwide. That's really... I think my goal, if we can kind of wake folks up as to what we're trying to accomplish and get some momentum going, I could see us doing multiple clinics across the nation on a monthly basis, given the right circumstances, and just, you know, and this could very well be a model going forward as to how we triage and treat veterans that are on the street, that are not, maybe not even on the street, that just don't have access to care.
Right.
Keep in mind that these guys and gals that are coming back from war are, you know, unfortunately, for whatever reason, our government is not able to, or not in a position right now to help them with their dental needs. So if we can fill that void and go nationwide with this model, I think the potential, you know, the sky's kind of the limit, so to speak. And, you know, if that means that we're, you know, setting up shop in Elks clubs across America and helping vets, if that means that we're going to veterans homes across the country, if that means that we're able to team up with, you know, we have some ideas about possibly teaming up with NASCAR and things of that nature, and, you know, helping people on the road. I just think the sky's the limit. I think we can really leave an impact.
Well, let me just say this, and I want you to really hear this, Tim. You need to hear this. You're a humble man and a good man, and I so honor you and respect you for doing what you're doing, because that field of expertise where you're showing other doctors and dentists and healers what is the proper way to be in the oath of Hippocrates: do as much good as you can, refuse no service, and first do no harm. First do no harm. And
Absolutely.
one of the biggest and most harmful things that can happen for veterans and suffering people is people to look away from them. There's a great line by Elie Wiesel. He said, "Hate is not the enemy of love, it's indifference." That's what hurts us the most.
Absolutely. And I just think that, you know, given the right circumstances, we can do better, and we will do better. There's got to be a better way. You know, I've been fortunate to have a private practice now for almost 25 years, and I've lived that dream and just been affiliated with some wonderful individuals that are like family to me. And, you know, if I'm able to kind of parlay that and like I said, just give back, there's no greater gift than that.
There's a line that teaches that inspire comes from the Greek term to breathe in the spirit, in spirit. Yep. And I hope everybody breathes in Dr. Tim today. Steve, what's your theory? What would you like to see happen? What's your dream for this?
Yeah, so I mean, my dream for this organization is pretty similarly aligned with Tim's. You know, Christina Smile, when they were kind of at their peak, they had 3 of these 53-foot mobile dental units traveling the country. You know, they had essentially East Coast, West Coast, and then kind of a Midwest, and they would follow the PGA, senior PGA golf tour. And whenever they would roll into, for instance, Pebble Beach, dentists like Tim would go down and volunteer for a day or two in Salinas or, you know, neighboring areas to take care of the underprivileged kids.
Impoverished areas and areas where there was need.
Yeah, so they had 3 of these things going, and they were sponsored by Roadway Trucking, and, you know, they were very fortunate, as Diane puts it, so I'm using her words, fortunate in the networking and the sponsorships that they picked up to be able to go. I mean, they had Roadway Trucking was basically taking these things wherever they wanted to go. Oh, we need it in, you know, Michigan. One was in Michigan, you know, and it was all scheduled out. They were sponsored by Patterson dentist, you know, the dental products. They supplied them with all this stuff. You know, they had in their prime, they had, you know, title sponsors that were taking care of a lot of the taking all the logistics off their hands. We're going to be looking to do that too. We are going to be reaching out to some of the previous sponsors. Diane is on our board as an advisory board member and has offered to reach out, to the old sponsors and kind of, hey, we're getting the band back together, just a little different.
Right.
And we're certainly going to entertain that, to entertain those possibilities. There are other sponsors that we'll be going after. But I think, so yeah, 3 trailers, why stop at 3? I mean, you asked about 10 years from now, let's have 20 of them. Let's have this to where there's veterans anywhere in the country that can go to possibly be offset by what the VA is doing. I mean, there's nothing saying that we could potentially be getting grants from the VA to offset the work that they're trying to do. They are currently, looking into expanding the dental care need. I mean, everyone talks about they talk about, but it's no denying. Mike, you and I worked with the Warrior Research Foundation to make a documentary called Echoes from Afghanistan, which addresses the epidemic going on right now around suicide. They say 22 a day, but that number fluctuates. It's been higher than that, it's been lower than that. But to think that 22 veterans a day are taking their lives from all different eras, is tragic. And a lot of that can be linked to, obviously, it's primarily a mental health thing, but a lot of that comes from physical pain,
disconnection. Yeah,
but it's also the physical pain from poor dental care, not being able to get the work. I remember early on that Tim told me that he would go down to Salinas every year and work with Christina Smile, and they crank through as many of these triage cases, guerrilla dentistry cases as they could, but then he'd come back up here to Napa, and I remember you telling me, Tim, that it kind of weighed on you, knowing that some of those kids that I took care of today are going to need work 3 weeks, 3 months, 6 months from now, and we're not there. Now they're stuck in their communities and where do they turn for dental care? And Christina Smile, they still to this day actually have a program where they're reaching out to dentists. They have a grant program where they can reach out to dentists to pay for the supplemental care. But that's something that we want to make sure that we have in place as well, so that we're not doing drive-by dentistry either. We're not treating someone, sure, take care of extract the teeth they need out and get rid of that pain right now. But 6 months from now, or a year from now, however long, they're going to need that follow-up work. So part of having the funding through grants and fundraising and outreach and donations is being able to pay for the supplemental care.
So we're laying to make a garden. I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not any limit. I mean, I spoke to a representative from the VA office, locally here in Sonoma, and leading up to our first clinics, we're going to be working with them in Marin and Napa, some of the neighboring counties to get, our first wave of clinics done. So, I said, well, how many veterans do you have on your, you could think of that might need this care, And she said, like, well, just in, Sonoma, Napa, and Mendocino, there's like 800, and we're talking about doing a clinic where we can take care of maybe 40 a day.
Wow.
And there's 800 just right here within, 30 miles of us. So the need is undeniable. We're really looking forward to getting this up and running and out there. Getting the thing up here, it's still down in Austin. We did put new tires on it. Roadway that where it's parked, they serviced it for brakes, so it's road ready. We had a board meeting recently where we decided, there's some money in the bank now to be able to pay for some of these initial startup costs, and we had just had a meeting like right before. Actually, it was during. We were already on our stay in place, shelter at home kind of thing during that board meeting, and it was like, let's just pay someone to bring the thing up here, so that we can get it here, so we can go in and show people, and as the restrictions loosen up on, with the COVID-19, we can show this to people and we can get in there and schedule our first clinic. And then once we can show people, invite the news in, invite potential sponsors, invite potential donors to come and tour it and see the work that we're doing, and then talk to the veterans after about,
Right.
you know, what is this like for you? I mean, some of these, I mean, we're already getting emails. We've had a couple of articles in the paper and stuff about the work we're doing, and we're already getting emails from people saying, well, when can I get my teeth done? And we're like, hold on, you know, we're building the list.
There's a line that goes, tell me I'll forget, show me I'll remember, but involve me and I will understand.
Yep.
And once we get everybody involved, and this is, I just want to speak to a minute to corporate donors. They say the real people in America aren't the people that love money and use people. They're the people that love people and use money. In America, the real successes are those who understand that. And for Roadway and all the other corporate sponsors who are thinking about maybe repartnering with us to get the band back together, just keep this in mind. At no other time in American history have we known that community unity is what it's all about. Somebody not too long ago, a famous person said that this virus makes us all equal. And I think there's no doubt of that, because a virus doesn't have a zip code. And the most powerful gift we get is to know neither does dental health or mental health. It doesn't have a zip code. It needs our attention, our love, our compassion, our connection, our reconnection. But if we're going to do that, and you got your guerrilla service members, 1, 2, 3, you also need your guerrilla corporate partners. Partner with us. See our hearts. See our souls. Figure out that we don't want to be in this alone. And it's all of us rowing in that lifeboat to the safe harbors of hearts. And that's the hearts of the people we heal and save and uplift and shift and give the gift of dental and mental health to. This is urgently important for our nation, because this is long-term to bring that blessing to others. It is awesome because in the short term, it stops mental health issues, stops violence, stops domestic violence, stops issues where people have snappage, what I call, as a probation officer, I saw a lot of folks snap just because they weren't getting the proper care or attention. This work is important. The work that Dr. Tim and Steve do is urgently important. I'm asking all of you to feel in our hearts, we're doing this to try and build that America and that American dream, that triage. Life is triage. Lots of wounded. Keep moving. Lots of wounded.
Yeah, we saw that with the pathway home, Mike. Amen, brother. Those guys coming back, or
multiple tours, Tim.
Multiple tours, 5, 6 times over in Afghanistan. Just unthinkable things that they witnessed, and guys lost limbs and lost buddies, and it's just unthinkable. So
and what they need is just, you know, one of the guys said it best, and I thought it was pretty funny. One of the guys, I won't say his name, I just loved him. I said, why do you like Tommy Bird and I so much? And he goes, it's real simple. You buy us sandwiches, you have lunch with us, you laugh, you listen to us.
Yeah, yep.
It's not complicated. They just want to know that people, you know, care.
Yep.
You know, and that care about them, their lives, their families, their kids, to be connected to that in the greater picture of things. Anywhere in the world for veterans and those who have risked their lives, sacrificed their lives, and maybe had friends lose their lives, this is important for them to know we're still here taking care of them.
And these guys that we treated,
around such good company, man. We're in good company.
Yep, and these guys that we treated through the pathway home, and they were just so appreciative of what we had to offer, and they quickly became part of our family and friends, and just could not be more grateful for what we had to offer, and that like I said, that for me, I think it speaks volumes to helping people on the margins and trying to get America's mental health back in shape here.
Right. All right, Steve, do you have anything else to add, my brother?
I had a question for Tim.
Sure.
Why do they call it a dental practice? Shouldn't you be done practicing by now, dude? If I were going to open up an office today, I'd be practicing. Okay, you should already know what the hell you're doing, dude.
If you only knew, brother. If you only knew.
Quit practicing. You've got a fucking degree, dude. You know.
It's a work, Marine, right? Yeah, it's a work in progress, my friend. Like I say, we're striving for perfection in an imperfect world.
Well, all I can tell you is that there's those moments in my life when, it comes when you watch one of these women or men that you've helped out and they smile. And I remember we were at a stand down over in Fort Roberts taking care of a guy, and two things that really hurt on homeless vets, the teeth and as well the feet. We were taking care of the guy's feet, and he turned around and he just smiled, and that was the currency that we're all looking for. You see it when you see these guys get up and say, "Thanks, Doc," and smile. Steve sees it in the veteran that is standing there, and Steve films him for the first time, a double amputee on a surfboard coming in out of Santa Cruz. And I see it every day in the faces of vets who are homeless on the streets, who finally get somebody to connect with them. That smile, that's the currency we work for. And all we're trying to do is improve that smile.
Amen. Well said, Mike. Yep.
Thanks, buddy. All right, Steve, did we get enough?
I think so, man.
All right.
Yeah.
Then it's up to you to practice editing.
Yeah. I'll be over here in my editing practice.
Back to your editing practice. All right.
Thank you for joining us in the Barracks. To learn more about our hosts, guests, and how to support V.E.T.S Mobile Dental Unit, visit www.inthebarracks.org.